And now we have him at VSiN, the Vegas Stats and Information Network. It helps to be connected, and nobody knows more of the bookies in Las Vegas than Brent Musburger. It's My Guys in the Desert with the legend and the guys behind the counter, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSiN studios, filling in for Brent, it's Dave Farra and company.
There it is, a live shot of the South Point Sportsbook. Thank you for joining us for My Guys in the Desert. Dave Farra in for Brent Musburger today alongside Vinny Magliulo and Josh Towers. Josh, I was thinking about you this weekend, buddy.
Not in a good way, right?
Yeah. By the way, if you don't follow Josh on Twitter, it is a must. He has a lot to say. His Twitter handle is actually No Don't Josh, which should tell you enough about what he tweets out on a regular basis.
It works well.
Yeah, it does. But man, it was just one of those moments.
Is that when I went quiet?
Yeah, you just all of a sudden there was no Josh on Twitter.
I pulled the Jalen Ramsey.
It just disappeared. I don't know.
The silence was deafening.
Josh, I'm a big fan of the Ravens, and yesterday, as things winding down in the day games, it was the Saints and the Ravens, and it was all tied up. And, you know, it's going to go to overtime because Justin Tucker has never missed a extra point in his entire career. 222 for 222. And Josh actually informed me today before we came on the air, never missed one in college either. How about that? And then, of course, the announcer sets that up. They throw the graphic up, and it just goes a little to the right.
It was teed up all week.
Yeah.
The fact that Drew Brees has never beat the Ravens 0-4, it was teed up all week.
Yeah.
That's how anybody
You
talked
took the bait, didn't you?
I didn't. I know better than this. You had that same feeling versus Cleveland. We knew what was going to happen to Tennessee. Like, as a fan, you kind of feel it coming. You know, obviously it was teed up where Drew Brees has never beat the Ravens 0-4. We haven't given up a second-half touchdown all year. I mean, everything was – and then, obviously, they threw the graphic up. I told you I was watching from a distance, and it just – like, it got uncomfortable. Like,
there was just something about that moment where you're like I was thinking in my head as I'm watching this, I'm like, man, they are really selling this hard. And it seems like every time that they do this, where there's some crazy stat, and this is by far the craziest of them all, right? He never missed an extra point in his life, and he goes out there and he shanks it.
I'm telling you, man, I think the games happened a while ago, and the announcers are slightly ahead of the game.
Is that
but
what
they
it
look
is?
like it's in real? How many times on TV they're like, oh, so-and-so, so-and-so, and then he catches the next play. Like, I mean, it happens so often. It's crazy. Very unfortunate. I respect Tucker for giving the interview because not many people, give the interview the way he did. I am nervous about the first kick because we always overcompensate after a failure, especially after we've never done it before, a little tentative. The kid puts work in, I'll tell you that. It's almost to the point where you're like, come on, bro, go sit down. He puts that much work in.
Yeah.
But, for all the people that have talked smack to me about him missing a kick, he's won us a few games too, so I'm not that mad.
222 for 223 ain't bad.
Listen, you know who remembers those? Every one of those stats. It doesn't matter what sport. Bettors and bookmakers remember each one. And when you hear the graphic, you hear the moan. Oh, no, don't say it. Oh, yeah, go ahead, say it.
There was a lot of moans later games yesterday in here, man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean the way that the Chiefs game came down to it, right? I mean, you talk about there's just that weird sequence where it could have hit the over and then it doesn't, and you just hear the groans of your friends that are holding those tickets, and maybe somebody sitting next to you on the couch. And if you're at a sports book, it was deafening.
Let me describe that ending this way. Congratulations to the bettors on the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I would be congratulating them a lot more if the game went over.
Yeah,
so that was that kind of game for the public. That was a good day. That made it a good day for the bettors yesterday. And again, that's what typically what the Sunday night game means.
Yes.
Okay, I call it the G game for a reason. The G stands for either get out or gravy. And yesterday it was a little bit of both, depending on what kind of day you had. It was kind of back and forth. But it was that was a really good game for the bettors last night.
How about the Patriots in the over?
Oh,
It had to go their way.
Well, you know what? Actually, the over, but there was some late Patriot money. But the game, don't forget, it opened 3.5.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of bear money during the course of the week. It went down as low as 1.5 here at the South Point. So there was more bear money overall. But again, Patriots and over in parlays, it was not. So it was a little bit of a mixed bag on that game.
You always feel like a square, like as Josh and I sit here talking about, well, you should bet the Patriots this week. Like,
yeah,
it feels like square advice, right? But there's just some times where it seems too obvious, but you almost have to bet the Patriots in spots like that where you have to lay a point and a half.
And it was tough because no Gronkowski either, right? Don't forget, he didn't even make the trip. So that certainly drove the number down from Saturday night to Sunday morning from 2.5 down as low as 1. There were ones out there, and maybe some picks even in some spots, depending on where you were. But that was a decent game. Great action game. But we're never at a shortage for Patriot money, and of course the Bears have been very popular this year. So it was good. That was a good result overall. Eagles. Boy, I'll tell you what, Eagles got bet up, lose the game outright, so that was a good game for the house. But it was just one of those days where it went back and forth. The day came down to the Chiefs last night, and of course the bettors got the best of it.
The Eagles were pretty comfortably in control of that game for the better part of it, and then just let it slip away.
Yeah.
I was surprised that Carolina was able to turn it on a little bit later, and even picking up some yards on the ground. That was not a great outcome for me, but the one that really played nicely was the Miami Dolphins and Detroit Lions game. The Brock Osweiler factor for the Dolphins is something that you can't ignore. He's just not a good quarterback. We talked about that at length on Friday. And they went out there, and Brock Osweiler didn't have a terrible game, but just overall the team wasn't able to get over that hump again. And the Detroit Lions looked solid. I didn't expect them to win by this much. I did expect them to win by more than 3, but 11 points. Lions firmly in control of that pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah, game opened 3, went to 2.5, went back to 3, closed 3. So, but it was, and the Lions, listen, it was a matchup of quarterbacks. Who you bet the better quarterback, and that was what it came down to. And by the way, that Stafford was coming off his bye, so there was more of a lean, I would say, to the Lions in that game.
I think defensively, it was the difference in that game, Miami-wise. They couldn't stop them. Right. I mean, I think the Lions punted once, and if you even get a couple stops, I think Miami has a chance to win that game. Brock Osweiler did a pretty good job. You got to give credit to Kerryon Johnson. I mean, he's changed the game for the Lions.
Yep.
Obviously, Amir Abdullah would run backwards every other play. That's obviously bad. They haven't had a 100-yard rusher well documented, and all of a sudden this kid's doing this. It's pretty impressive what he's doing, and it's really, really helping Matt Stafford. And Kenny Galladay's been fantastic as well. You got some youth there doing positive things. It is a plus. But like I said, defensively for Miami, if they could have got any stop, we really would have saw what the Lions were about. And I don't think I don't think they've got tested enough.
Cleveland Browns go to overtime again and can't get it done again. It just seems, last year there was plenty of these stories as well where they were close to getting a victory and they just couldn't finish the job.
But yet they beat the Ravens.
They beat the Ravens.
Here we go.
They did.
Conference games, man. What is it?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I face a team 19 times, MLB. We're seeing Boston up on the screen. Face them 19 times a year. I know there's something about them. I see them more. We're closer. I get it. Well, is that it? I should be able to answer this question, but is that it?
I think
it's
Josh,
different.
And Mike Lombardi talks quite a bit about that. It's about matchups, right? And matchups, there's so much more familiarity when it's a division game, and it means so much more because that's really first and foremost where your
football-wise,
postseason dreams focus, right? I mean, if you have any chance at all, you've got to win. Listen, and we've seen it on rare occasions. The last time I remember was Seattle. You can actually go to the playoffs if you win your division at 7-9, right?
Yeah.
That's why, with a 7-9 record, that's why your division games mean so much more. Head-to-head is huge. So
I guess in baseball too, we don't even keep that stat. I mean, it's not even a stat on the standings. It's just your overall record. So football, you're right. It does come down to division, and I guess there it is.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, the emotion of it, you can't look past. I mean, even in college, I went to University of South Carolina, and Clemson was always our rival. Sure. And you've seen these divides over the years where Carolina's been a lot better, or Clemson, certainly in recent years, has been much better than the Carolina football program. But at the end of the season, doesn't matter what happened throughout the entire season, it's almost always going to be a dogfight to get that last game victory because it's the rivalry game, and those two schools hate each other.
It's the game.
Yeah, and it does not matter how good one team is or how bad the other is unless there's a huge divide in defenses.
And of course, in college, what you add to it, the dynamic is recruiting, right?
Yep.
I mean, let's face it; those are the games that really can sway recruits. So that's why it's so much more important in college. even more so than the pros a lot of times.
What was the takeaway for you guys from the Jets and the Vikings game? I mean, Vikings ended up rolling in that. Of course, Adam Thielen goes out there, has himself another banner day. I mean, what a great story that is, too. Adam Thielen just goes from undrafted to being arguably the best receiver in the NFL, at least the way that he's performing right now. The Jets' defense, though, looked pretty solid throughout a lot of that game. Like, the Vikings had to fight.
Yep.
I think it's like we talked about going into the season. The Jets would surprise some people on certain days, and they have done that. But they're still a young team that's trying to come together. I mean, let's face it, you've got a rookie quarterback here. So against a veteran quarterback. By the way, I did speak to a buddy, Gary Kane from back in New York, who was in studio about a month ago. He was at the game yesterday. He was surprised. He texted me. He said, "You're not going to believe this, but there's 40% of the stands had purple." I mean, which I find hard to believe because the Jets usually have a pretty good home presence. But he did point out yesterday,
and Minnesota's not exactly convenient to Jersey.
I have to tell you, man, they turned up yesterday at MetLife Stadium, and he said it was at least 40%. Viking fans. So, the game didn't really move that much. It was 3.5, and we never got off to 3.5. But listen, more Vikings. I think there was more Vikings money there. Vikings were in more parlays, certainly in teasers yesterday than the Jets were.
I mean, I could think of a whole bunch of better cities to go to if I'm a Viking fan to sit out in the stadium and watch some football.
Go look at the Leafs chain.
And then maybe tickets were cheap.
Go to the LA game or something where it's at least sunny,
If Sam Darnold, and listen, I know because he didn't do it in college and it's well documented, if Sam Darnold can just throw the football to his team and not the other team, I think that the Jets, obviously, and this is are a much better football team. When you continue to put your team on defense because you're throwing interceptions and they're not even good throws. It's not like tips. Like he's just throwing to the other team. And once he learns to do that, or maybe just hold that throw, maybe take a sack, maybe just take a 1-yard gain or something on the ground. I'm not sure. Run out of bounds, but. I mean, 3 interceptions again. You're putting your team back on defense. Yeah. Listen, Minnesota did it the first few games of the year where they're either scoring quick or they're turning the ball over 3 and out really quick, and now defense is on the field and they're wearing most of this game, and now they weren't very good. But now that they're sustaining drives, defense is actually getting time off. The Jets' defense really isn't getting that. And in 4 quarters of a football game, you're going to fatigue. And so Sam Darnold's got to learn how to – I mean, I don't know how you teach him because once again, at USC – he turned the ball over a ton. It's no different here in the NFL with better players. So I don't know what you're going to do to teach this kid, but let's go ahead and start that if they want to be good. You can use all the draft picks you want of defensive players. But if your quarterback's putting you in a bad spot,
no doubt,
he's putting you in a bad spot.
Worth noting that game in New Jersey was very windy yesterday.
It was.
So that is a challenge. More of an issue for the kickers, obviously, than the quarterbacks, but still.
Yeah. Once again, the way I see it is Cousins didn't turn the ball over. And here's my other thing, talking about that. What makes Adam Thielen so good, right? This kid is amazing, and I know that it's that everybody told me no. I wasn't even offered college scholarships. Nobody wanted me in the NFL, and I know there's always that I'm going to prove myself.
But there has to be more than that, right?
But there's proof that you can be open on every snap because this guy's always open. So, I mean, you can double team guys, which they're doing now to him, and he's still open. This teaches you about the fundamentals, the little things, route running, the right turns, everything. I mean, crisp. Prototype. Let's just go ahead and let him be the video for everybody who's trying to learn how to play wide receiver.
Speaking of video, tells me he watches a lot of film.
Yes, he does. No question about it.
Yeah, and there is something to be said about the time that he spends away from being on the field with studying.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, because if you're always that guy, right? If everyone tells you that you're great and that you can go out there and you don't have to prepare and you can still get away with it, then you're not going to put in that extra time.
Until you're not on a team next year, Kelvin Benjamin.
Right.
And somebody asks you to go, let's throw some, and you say, no, I don't need that because you had a name, because you were always good. Wasn't he a first-round pick? Now, all of a sudden, Kelvin Benjamin can't catch anything. You only get to use the quarterback as an excuse for so long, and then he's going to be out of a job, just like we're seeing some other kids that were like, well, you don't have a job. Kelvin Benjamin's next because he doesn't want to do what Adam Thielen's doing.
Exactly, but it's a lot harder to have to develop that skill after you've been shucking off that responsibility for a long time. Right?
Corey Coleman's a prime example as well.
Great example. All right, so since we're talking about wide receivers quickly here, got to talk about this news with Amari Cooper. So he goes to the Dallas Cowboys, who ended up falling short yesterday in an important game on the road against the Redskins. Dallas Cowboys can't get a win on the road, haven't at all this season so far. Played pretty nicely at home a couple of times, which has surprised some people, but they give a first-round pick to the Raiders, and the Raiders are just basically now in full-on tank mode, right?
Well, I hate to say that. I hate to say tank. I mean, it's rebuild. I mean, they're going to wind up bigger underdogs. I mean, we saw a 1.5 move today just off of the trade alone between the injuries and the trades that they've made. This is a team that's not only looking to next year but beyond, right? So, that's why there'll be quicker adjustments with the point spread, the starting point spread, but also the line movement when it comes to the Raiders, and we've already seen that here. Again, the game, the Raider game did open 1.5 at home off a bye against the Colts. It's up to 3.
I mean, even if the Raiders didn't go into tank mode, I mean, they have the Colts coming up this week, and then they have the 49ers. Both games arguably are somewhat winnable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then after
that, should be competitive, right? I mean,
you've got the Ravens, and you have the Chiefs, and you have the Steelers, and you have the Bengals, and you have the Broncos, and you have the Chiefs again.
Yeah.
I mean,
good luck
even if you're not in tank mode, you're going to lose all those games.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to be bigger. They're going to be pretty good sized dogs, especially the back end of that schedule on the road.
What year are they coming here? What year is
2020.
Yep. So not next year, the year after.
Yeah, there it is. That's what the draft picks are going to be.
That's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But, there was one game yesterday to start looking ahead to and it's again a team that gets plenty of backing from the general public. So the Rams and 49ers. Remember that was going to be the Sunday night game, but it was flexed out, and the Rams opened 10.5, went down to 8.5. Oof. So sharper money went with the 49ers in that game, but the public still went Rams. Oh, by the way, and they went over. They bet the over in it. So the game did go under, but it was a one-sided affair, 39-10 Niners. The reason I say to think about that ahead, because now when you look at the Rams next week at home against the Packers, still a 9-point favorite on the opener.
Plenty more NFL to talk about in just a moment. And, of course, now the World Series is set, we have some underdog news that might surprise you. It's interesting that Clayton Kershaw is a dog going into game number 1. We'll get the insight of Vinny and Josh in just a moment. This is My Guys in the Desert on VSiN. We'll be right back.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
You didn't catch VSiN last week. Here's some of what you missed.
Did Mattress Mac make the rounds?
He rounded with us and he headed home. He rounded third, bet $150,000 on the Houston Astros to win the World Series. He took plus $1.80. So help me out, guys. 150 wins what, like 270,000?
Yeah. So 270 right there. Yeah.
And from what I hear, Mr. Musburger, he made a few other stops at some other stores also. But a welcome sight, and we'll see what happens. Naturally, he will be back if the Astros get by this series. But as much as he is a great Houston resident, I'm kind of saying, let's get this over with right now if we can.
So I go play my lucky machine here, and Ryan, Michael, you guys, this best machines in town. Bob Dancer will tell you. It took about 3 minutes, Mitch. Won about $5,000. Took about 3 minutes. I will buy you lunch today. Can you get a shot of me here? Yeah.
So you're showing up like at 4:01. We wave you off, and you decide to go play video poker, and you hit a royal flush in 3 minutes, and you just won $5,000.
Close to 5,000.
Yeah. It's good. I like the way that works.
In baseball, when we talk about, those of us who handicap baseball and have done so for many years, we always, in our analytics, we talk about splits. And specifically, we talk about home road splits sometimes with certain pitchers. Just an odd thing with certain pitchers based on ballpark. Some teams sign pitchers based on their skill set and their particular dimensions and conditions of their own ballpark. Some of these football teams in the NFL this year seem particularly home road splittish.
So they were really just protecting themselves. Yeah, except for that dude on the right. I don't know what he's clowns thinking he's going to do. Yeah, but the two guys that hit in the orange shirt and the blue, they weren't. Like, the orange shirt's more leaning towards the right. The guy in the blue is kind of protecting himself. Mookie's glove closed before the ball. I don't know if that's because he touched a hand or not, and it's a reaction. I don't know if he's going to catch it, but what I do know is the fans did not go into the field of play to interfere with that ball. I thought that calling that an out was wrong. I mean, I don't know how else you put it. Jose Altuve in Houston got robbed.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Welcome back to it. It's My Guys in the Desert here on VSiN. Thank you so much for being with us. Dave Farra alongside Vinny Magliulo and Josh Towers. And Josh, I want to get your reaction to this. Game number 1 for the World Series is posted. That is going down tomorrow night in Boston. And Clayton Kershaw is going for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And he is a dog for the first time in how long?
How about that? Obviously, he wasn't a dog this year. Dodgers were favored almost every game. It seems like it wasn't this year, but it's been 6 years. I mean, July 24, 2012 at St. Louis.
That's insane.
He was plus 127, and they lost 8-2.
That is wild.
I've got to tell you.
Yeah, 2012, man.
Think about this. Red Sox sale, $1.40, up to $1.45 here at the South Point. The series price from $1.35 up to $1.45 as well. Game 1 will typically mirror the series price. They'll be very close. I was trying to research this. I looked last year. He was not a dog. He was certainly not a dog this postseason. He wasn't a dog last year's postseason. I look at the postseason because obviously those are better teams and those playoff games and World Series games. I thought it might have been in 2016. No, 14. The year the Giants made
could
that
have been
run.
105, right?
And
then they were not going to count that.
Yeah,
dog.
I mean, it could have been a pick 'em. But I didn't have a whole lot. I was working on football numbers, but I have to tell you, that's an amazing statistic. But here's the thing: if you're thinking about betting the Dodgers in the series, and taking a quarter, you're better off taking $1.35 with Kershaw in Game 1, and then if they win Game 1, you're in the driver's seat because the Dodgers become a favorite.
That's an important piece of advice that Vinny just gave to you.
I mean,
so
for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I know we have offshore, but sports betting's here in Vegas. I mean, now it's opened up, right? But before that, it's here in Las Vegas. The Dodgers are around the corner. AAA used to be here. Does that have a lot to do with the Dodgers line and him not being? I mean, listen, Kurt Kluber underdog this year. There's Garrett Coles. There's Justin Verlander. There's Chris Sales. There's all these stars of Major League Baseball. There's a lot of guys this year we saw that were dogs, and times you're like, huh, you never see that before. Chris Sale, I believe. I think Chris might have been. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he was.
He hasn't been a dog since
Cleveland.
2012. There's a lot of good teams and good pitchers in the game. Does some of that have to do with the fact that the Dodger Stadium's around the corner?
I think it's got. Well, he's delivered though too, right? More
no, he's 181 and 90 in his favorites. And
So
he's a favorite.
I mean, I think there's that element to it, Josh, for sure. And even though in the postseason, although this year he's been very good in the postseason, and maybe that not starting in Game 1 of the Milwaukee series was it the no, I'm sorry, the
I wish they
Arizona,
I wish they would have did it in the Milwaukee series. I wish they would have kept it the same.
So
you saw that he actually put a little bit more pressure on himself because now he had Game 1 again.
It's just, listen, Kershaw, regional bias for sure. No doubt about it, to your point.
There's no question the guy's been arguably the best in the game. There's no
lights
question.
out, especially during the course of the regular season.
I mean, you pull his career stats and you're seeing, 18 and 4s and 20 and 4s and 1.62 ERAs, and you're going to be favored.
But I mean, value there, plus 35.
Why isn't the public identifying that? Why is it just because what they've seen from Sale recently? They're going, wow, this guy.
Red
at
Sox
home and
public's perspective. Red Sox at home, scoring runs. Listen, both these teams score runs. Both these teams play defense. You're obviously your decision will come down to who you think has the better starting pitching and better bullpen. And both teams have shown that both have been good during the. Let's face these.
There's more
stars. The two most consistent teams have made it to the World Series, and these have been, these are two public teams, and so I know this: the handle on this series will be through the roof. It'll be a terrific right, which is another way that we refer to handle.
Can you look at this the other way and say, "Dang, I'm getting pretty good value on Chris Sale at 145"?
But if you're looking for value, your value is a take. And then maybe you look at the in game if it goes the other way, right? But I just think this: pros are. I don't know if pros jump into this until it gets a little bit higher. But the value is with one of the best pitchers of the present time, and that's Kershaw.
Let me ask you this, Josh. I mean, because you look at the bats for Boston, and they have been really, really good, especially in that series against the Houston Astros. JBJ is so clutch in such big moments, hitting grand slams, everything else. How real is that? I mean, when you're talking about a guy who had a couple of big opportunities, capitalized on them, is that the sort of thing that you expect to see again in the World Series? Is he just streaking right now at exactly the right time, or was it just a couple of lucky moments that you sort of write off and go, for him to do that again would be really obscene?
Yes. No, exactly. I don't think exactly. I mean, he's not the guy you think of that's going to be driving in those runs and hitting bombs, hitting grand slams, and doing all that stuff. And once again, he was late on the Garrett Cole pitch that drove it in 3. And then his momentum, it just carried over and his confidence grew. So, no, he's not. You're going to expect more out of Mookie Betts. I mean, I think he hit, 217 in that series. JD Martinez was around what he does. He's over 300 for the whole time. He's 278 in that series as well. You start getting these 7-game series and guys start to relax and they start to become who they are. And I think that the last series helped all these guys relax. Still some players that need to get over it. Muncy's not the same. Muncy's trying to hit a home run every pitch, and he didn't do that during the regular season, but now he's trying to do it. Even though Manny's hitting, he's only hitting off-speed pitches down, he's going to have to start hitting fastballs away. And if he doesn't, he's going to have a hard time facing these pitchers for Boston. What you got, Vin?
I got 2 questions for you, Josh, and one of them is with Machado because obviously he came from the Orioles and he's had many, many confrontations with the Red Sox.
Good point.
Advantage Machado or advantage Red Sox pitchers? In that case,
if Manny can stick to the strike zone, it's advantage Manny, right?
Okay.
Because these guys have thrown at him so much, they can't throw at him again. And so now they have to actually attack him and try to get him out. So if he stays patient, he knows he's not going to get too many pitches in. He'll get show me pitches in. And then once they show it, to be like, hey, we might hit you. We've done it before. They're just going to go right back away and try to get him out of the way, which is not really what you want to do. He's the opposite guy, man. I mean, you kind of want to go hard away on him.
But it's a better lineup, too. Works in his favor, right? In Manny Machado's favor with this lineup compared to what he...
I don't know. For me, Manny doesn't allow the guys in front of him, behind him, to help him.
Okay.
For me, he just is who he is. He's going to swing at whatever he wants to swing at, and he doesn't really look behind him to see who's on deck and go, okay, they may not pitch to me in this situation. I don't see him doing that very often. But if he's willing to do that, and if he's willing to be a little bit more patient and take walks, which we did see him sacrifice, which I was very impressed with. And if you're willing to do that in those moments, then you are willing to take walks, which, once again, this is a team game. Dodgers got a lot of power. He is going to be pretty important in this series. You can't just put it all on JT.
The other question I would have for you is, did Craig Counsell's bullpen utilization or just the way he maneuvered his pitching staff, both from a starting perspective and a relief perspective, did that help the Dodgers, or did it work again? I mean, again, this is just hindsight, but did that contribute to where we are today?
Well, the Dodgers shouldn't be here. Let's be honest. And if they don't like that I said that, too bad. They shouldn't be here. Milwaukee was the better team. Counsell was the difference maker to me, and I'm not just beating on him, man. I think he's a really good manager. There's no question about it. Where that team's come from and where they are now since he's taken over in 2015, awesome. But let me try to explain this the best I can. The 8th and 9th inning are high leverage situations. These are high leverage situations. A baseball game is one thing. Later in the baseball game, when it's on the line, it's a whole different thing. If you strike out, Dave, in the 3rd inning, it's not that big of a deal because you have another at bat and we have 6 more innings to win this game. If I give up a couple runs in the 3rd inning, it's don't feel good. We still have plenty of time to win this game. We just got to keep them where they're at from here, right? So it's not the end of the world. I've always said this. A starting pitcher doesn't go 7 innings. He didn't do his job. That's my personal opinion. Anybody can pitch the first 5 innings of the game. I don't have to jog. I don't have to do anything to be in shape to pitch 5 innings of a baseball game. That's the reality. There's not much stress or anything that's coming out of me. I'm not using that much energy. My shoulder's not really putting in that much work. That's the reality. You don't waste guys like Hader. You don't waste closers, Kenley Jansen. You don't waste guys that can pitch in high leverage situations in the 3rd inning of a game. Anybody in baseball can pitch the 3rd inning of a baseball game. Not everybody in baseball can pitch the 8th inning of a baseball game. It's completely different. And now we're talking about the 8th inning of a postseason game. So my best guy, according to them, Josh Hader, I'm going to use in the 3rd inning when I can use anybody else. So now if I am in the 8th and 9th inning of this game, we somehow stayed in this, who do I have? Somebody I don't trust. Well, you don't do that. And Counsell went backwards, and he put himself and he put the team in a very bad position. And that's the bottom line. They never should have lost this series.
And so we end up with L.A. and Boston. Again, tomorrow night, the World Series kicks off, and then game number 2 is happening on Wednesday, also in Boston, and then it shifts out to L.A. after that. Jimmy Vaccaro is joining us in studio next. This is My Guys in the Desert on VSiN. We're coming right back from the South Point.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
Some of what you missed.
We ready? We take teasers on the NBA.
Oh, my man.
Hold on.
My man knows. I can't resist. How about Moneyline Parlay?
There you go. How can you tease the NBA? There's 220 points might be scored.
That's my
this
point.
Extra 4.5 points are really going to do me good. I guarantee he makes the bet.
I can lay 8 with the Warriors. Okay. All right. Now, the Celtics, I can bring them down. Which way, Vinny, do I make more money on the $100? The tees or the money line?
Hey,
Okay.
do yourself a
So-
favor. Don't quit either job you have.
You know, I watched last week when they Purdue put 46 straight points up on Illinois. And the play calling, the creative and aggressive play calling by Jeff Brom is something you just don't see from a lot of coaches. And frankly, there's a lot of NFL coaches would be served to watch film of this guy's play calling and adjust, because I love how aggressive the guy is. And I think they're going to attack Ohio State Saturday night in prime time. And I think the Buckeyes are going to be sweating. They should be on upset alert. I wouldn't be shocked if Purdue wins that game straight up.
Could you please, sir, give us one moment of non-humility where you share once again the stuff that actually started with you? Because we talk about season wins with Jimmy all the time, but you started some stuff.
I had a few things I started. The mega teaser, the super teaser, whatever you call it, that card.
The three-team 10-pointer.
10-point teaser. Yeah, I was the first to come up with that.
That's you. The stuff that everybody takes for granted.
Yeah.
That was you.
I was the first to come up with that.
Wait, JVT's favorite team is the Colts?
Oh, you didn't know this? Loves the Colts. He's got a Colts. He has a Colts tattoo, Jay. He has a Colts tattoo.
Okay, that's inaccurate, but I do have a Colts watch.
Jay, let me ask JVT a question then. What does the Colts stand for?
I'm sorry?
What the Colts?
Like, what is a Colt?
The Colt.
It's a baby horse.
Yes, COLTS. What does that stand for?
I have no idea. What does that stand for?
Oh, I was told this by a Colts fan many years ago, and I still remember it today. Count on losing this Sunday.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. Okay.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VSiN action update for BetQL, the free mobile app that you need to make smarter bets. The Oakland Raiders house cleaning continues. After trading Khalil Mack on the eve of the season, they've now unloaded wide receiver Amari Cooper, sending him to Dallas for a first-round pick in next year's draft. The news made Oakland a bigger underdog on Sunday, going from +1.5 to +3 at home against Indianapolis. The Raiders also put Marshawn Lynch on injured reserve. The Atlanta Falcons are 4 to 4.5-point home favorites for Monday Night Football tonight against the New York Giants. The total mostly 52.5 or 53. Derek Anderson will continue as quarterback for Buffalo. The Bills are 13.5-point underdogs next Monday at New England. Miami staying with Brock Osweiler Thursday night at Houston, where Osweiler's old team, the Texans, are favored by 7. Blake Bortles was benched yesterday, but he'll be back to start when Jacksonville plays next Sunday in London against Philadelphia. The Jags are field goal underdogs. With Clayton Kershaw now named to pitch Game 1 tomorrow, the Dodgers are 35-cent underdogs to win the World Series opener at Fenway Park. Chris Sale and the Red Sox are 45-cent favorites. Boston also -140 at the Westgate Superbook USA to win its 4th title in 15 seasons. Rajon Rondo and Brandon Ingram will be missing from the Lakers lineup tonight after getting into that fight with Houston's Chris Paul on Saturday night. All three are serving multi-game suspensions. The Lakers are a pick'em to 1-point favorites hosting San Antonio tonight. Dwight Howard has a bad back and was not with the Wizards to start their 5-game road trip. Washington is a 4.5-point underdog tonight at Portland. This action update is sponsored by BetQL, the free mobile app that you need to make smarter bets. Track line movement, public betting trends, follow your picks, and get value bets of the day. Head to BetQL.co and download BetQL today. More from the desert here on VSiN.
Now back to Sin City and my guys in the desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204 and vsin.com.
A live look there at the South Point Sportsbook and the man that lords over that sportsbook, Jimmy Vaccaro, is joining us in studio right now. Jimmy, how was your weekend?
You remember when Mo said to Curly, "You got a bad back"? You know what Curly said? How long have you had it? He said, "About a week back."
All right.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Good. So the weekend was good or not?
Everybody's still laughing. How can I get over that?
The best part is you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's right.
Well,
it's all the important things.
What a jam-up weekend, pal. Now, we didn't win any money, but we had a hell of a good time, I can tell you that. Saturday was insane. We had the Vincenzo, the Showtime people. They were here. They can't get enough of this joint.
They love
can't
it
get
here.
enough
They
of
love it here.
And they picked the goofiest guy in the sports book to interview. Now, that wasn't me. That was some nutball that comes in there every day. Don't spend $3.40. Drinks beer all day long. How he gets the tickets, I don't know. He'll be on Showtime because every time anybody said, no matter what team was on, he jumped up and down like he had a bet on it, which I know he had no tickets.
There you go. Jimmy, how different is – I'm glad you brought that up. How different is it today when a camera shows up compared to 30 years ago?
Well, they would have shot him.
It wasn't even 30 years ago. Like 4 years ago.
You weren't allowed.
If you pulled out your phone in a sports book, they would tackle you.
They were.
No, I'm talking about the customers did not want to be on. Now they love it.
Yeah.
Right.
But and here's the best part. He coming in the back, the producer coming back said, "Jimmy, they were talking about you. They want you to come out and take a picture with them." I said, "Are you out of your freaking mind? Like, I'm going to go talk to this knucklehead. I got to put up with every day. Then he's going to jump up and down."
You heard the guy right now. He got all excited when you push what's your name kind of, and he got all excited with Jeff because he's like, "You must be somebody."
That's right.
That's Jimmy. He's the man around here.
That's right.
They know.
Then his wife said, "Can I have a buffet?"
What did you say?
I said, "Sure."
All right.
There you go.
What am I going to do?
What a weekend. Saturday was like a wash, but we changed hands a lot of money from the mid-morning to the end. Handle again is through the roof. Ticket count is through the roof. People are getting out. This is something I really I keep talking about it, but Vincenzo, you keep saying it's got to slow down.
No,
but it doesn't even slow down.
And here's the what adds to the phenomenon, and to Jimmy's point, which is important, is let's remember this: there's 5 other states now that have sports wagering, including New Mexico.
Yep, just came on,
which was came live last week. What it's doing is creating many more customers, and it's socially much more acceptable. It is mainstream
that's a big
now.
good point.
Okay, and it's always been popular, but now it is socially more acceptable, and people want to get in on it, and they love it.
Can I take it a step further? I think it's more than just it's socially acceptable. It's become a necessary part of a lot of people's Sunday, and necessary because they expect
on Sunday,
to have
sure.
that action, and Saturdays as well, right? So you can just watch the games. But if you can get together with your buddies now, legally, it's a lot different when you're doing something offshore and you're on a computer or whatever. When you're sitting in a sports book live with your buddies and you have action on all these games, that's a totally different experience than just rooting for your home team.
And it's completely different than going to play roulette or sitting at a machine, knowing that you're probably going to lose when you sit at a machine. But I actually have a realistic shot of winning this. I mean, these are actual people that I know something about.
You bring up an important point, too, Josh, because people are smarter today, too, and they know where there's value. They know where there's a better chance. They know they're more versed in theoretical hold percentages and things like that. Now, I'm not saying everybody is doing math and everything like that, but they know that, listen, basically it's a 50-50 shot. They're only putting up 11 to 10, but in a case of a ball game, I'm just going to pick one side against the other.
Yeah, and the other side is simply this, that, Josh, once you make your bet, you still have other options. You can bet in progress. You can bet the first half anymore. You can bet the second half. When they spin the wheel on the roulette table and your money's down, zero. That's you win or you lose. Yeah. Hey, there's no chance to I wanted to play the black instead of the red. In sports betting, now with this in progress stuff, not that I'm a big fan of it, but what I am a fan of is 80% of the bets are $20, $40, $50. It's like, wise guys only jump in when they have taken 7 during the week, and then they could take 6.5 on the other side in the second quarter.
Right.
That's when they want to bet you $87 million. But the small guy loves to compete every chance he gets.
Wait, you said something strange. You can actually win at roulette?
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
I didn't think so.
You can try.
Played a decent amount of roulette.
You can try.
Never came out on top of that one.
But the point was valid, too, because there's been some games, and there was a game recently that I was like, I bet. And immediately I was like, this is the wrong bet. They look terrible. And all I wanted to do was get off at the second half.
And
I
you
was
had the ability to do that.
And I was praying for a first half result to get me off the second half, and I did have the ability to do it. Right.
And even after the goes into overtime, you get another shot.
Yeah.
You know, do what you want to do. But Sunday was insane.
Man.
I mean, it was insane the amount of money that we write here. And I keep emphasizing this. You don't need to be the biggest place in the world, and we're surely not. But I'll tell you what, we'll put our numbers up against anybody as far as like taking a bet.
I'll tell you what, ticket
Unreal.
count is another aspect.
Ticket count is
I don't know if you're going to find a place with more tickets.
And it's a swinging handle too. Now we won early, lost in the middle, won some late. But for us, we'd have blown $250,000 easy if they'd have kicked a field goal last night, put the game over instead of under.
Yep.
But what happens also, again, I'm not looking for your sympathy out there because I ain't got none for you. But it's a two-way street. But what happens also, say we'd have blown our brains out on that game yesterday, which $250 is a lot of money no matter who you got. The carryover, I mean the tickets that will still be live to tonight's game would have made tonight's game no matter what side you wanted. 200,000 minimum, and we still got a few hours to go. So that's why this stuff is so intriguing to me. That's why I'm a nutball, and that's why I keep coming back.
It is cool.
Well, I want to back up a little bit to what we started with, talking about Showtime being here, because that's also a part of this story, right? So Showtime is doing a special for those that haven't heard what's going on with us yet. They're actually here, and they're doing a series, potentially, multiple episodes over the course of whenever it gets released. And you think it may actually turn into a full-on series where maybe they're doing 10, 12 episodes.
I think the general thought right now is about a 4-episode set of shows.
Vinny, any behind the scenes? Like they talk to the guys here, but how about when like you follow guys home and you actually watch the way they study? Is that part of it?
I think that could be part of it. I don't think it is right now. I think they talk to operators. They've gone around Las Vegas, spent a lot of time here at the South Point because there's a lot of really good access here too, and so the accommodation here is what's really enjoyable for them. It could easily go beyond 4 or 5 episodes because there are so many subplots and other plots that develop along the way. Let's say there's a team right now, for instance, that may be out of the playoffs, and somebody's got a ticket on them, but all of a sudden they get hot. And how is a customer or a group of customers following that team? Things like that. College basketball is going to be here too within another few weeks.
Sure.
So that takes on a whole other dynamic as well. So really, the series is unlimited, and here's the best part too, Jimmy. The crew has a great time doing it. The folks that are here
and I
do
explode some myths that are
You know.
floating out there.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting on the massage chair and watching the game. They said, well, what are you doing the rest of the day? I said, nothing. They said, what do you mean nothing? I said, I'm doing nothing. What do you do when you got here? Nothing. Well, what do you do around here? Nothing. Well, Jimmy, you got to do something. I said, I'm telling you, I don't do nothing. Here's what they want to do. You ready for this? They want to follow me in the spa.
Yep.
They want to do that.
That's behind the scenes, Josh.
Wow. What kind of Showtime special
There
is
you go.
Here's the one. They're like,
That's it. It's Showtime.
I laughed at them. They wanted me to, are you serious? Are you ready for this one? This is out of their mouths to our girl, Lenny, who's our marketing director. Give me a haircut and a shave in the barber shop. Vin Chan's got a better chance of being the UN director of all security in the whole world, as opposed to me going to that barber shop and letting them give me a haircut and a shave. But they're serious. They're dead ass serious.
That's what they want. That's it.
It's
not what it appears to be.
You underestimate the shining star of Jimmy Vaccaro, my friend.
Yeah, okay.
He does. He doesn't understand.
He doesn't understand.
No.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But how come when I owed Erwin Urick $1,200, he said, I don't care who the hell you are, you're $1,200. Is that a little different times?
Maybe.
It's only 50 years ago. What do you
Only
want?
50. All right, more with Jimmy Vaccaro in just a moment. This is My Guys in the Desert on VSiN.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
You didn't catch VSiN last week. Here's some of what you missed.
Did Mattress Mac make the rounds?
He rounded with us and he headed home. He rounded third, bet $150,000 on the Houston Astros to win the World Series. He took plus $1.80. So help me out, guys. 150 wins, what, like 270,000?
Yeah, so 270 right there, yeah.
And from what I hear, Mr. Musburger, he made a few other stops at some other stores also. But a welcome sight. And, we'll see what happens. Naturally, he will be back if the Astros get by this series. But as much as he is a great Houston resident, I'm kind of saying, let's get this over with right now if we can.
So I go play my lucky machine here, and Ryan, Michael, you guys, this best machines in town. Bob Dancer will tell you. It took about 3 minutes, Mitch. Won about $5,000. Took about 3 minutes. I will buy you lunch today. Can you get a shot of me here? Yeah.
So you're showing up like at 4:01. We wave you off, and you decide to go play video poker, and you hit a royal flush in 3 minutes, and you just won $5,000.
Close to 5,000.
Yeah. It's good. I like the way that works.
In baseball, when we talk about, those of us who handicap baseball and have done so for many years, we always, in our analytics, we talk about splits. And specifically, we talk about home road splits sometimes with certain pitchers. Just an odd thing with certain pitchers based on ballpark. Some teams sign pitchers based on their skill set and their particular dimensions and conditions of their own ballpark. Some of these football teams in the NFL this year seem particularly home road splittish.
So they were really just protecting themselves. Yeah, except for that dude on the right. I don't know what these clowns think he's going to do. Yeah. But the two guys that hit in the orange shirt and the blue, they weren't. Like, the orange shirt's more leaning towards the right. The guy in the blue is kind of protecting himself. Mookie's glove closed before the ball. I don't know if that's because he touched a hand or not, and it's a reaction. I don't know if he's going to catch it, but what I do know is the fans did not go into the field of play to interfere with that ball. I thought that calling that an out was wrong. I mean, I don't know how else you put it. Jose Altuve in Houston got robbed.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, SiriusXM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Welcome back to My Guys in the Desert. There you see it. It is the Sportsbook here at the South Point. And as you see, nice crowd here on just kind of a normal Monday. What?
He owes $20. And he said Friday he'd pay me back on Monday. Where's my money?
Jimmy's
got $1.
Talking through the glass to somebody asking for his money.
He's got $1. He's making installments.
He's got a ticket in his hand too, though.
As you see, a nice crowd, still about an hour and some change away from our Monday Night Football game. But let's talk about how this sportsbook looked yesterday morning for the 6:30 a.m. game. Because my understanding, pretty full, even for a very early game.
I got here earlier this weekend, and there was about 40% of the chairs were already people sitting in them. There was probably 15 people, and we had two windows open at 6:30 in the morning. Probably two windows, probably 7 and 8 people in line. This I can tell you. There was not 1 minute that I was here from that particular time till I left last night that there wasn't somebody at the window making a bet. It's just incredible. And as Josh saw, tell him what it's like at 9:55 outside trying to get in.
I'm telling you, it's not a joke. Like, people coming at 9:55, they're parking anywhere they want. They, like, in the street coming in, they just slam up, jump, leave the car on, run in. You see people sprinting at 9:55, running. They're teed out, so cars got to go around them. They'll park them. They don't care. They'll park anywhere they want. They come sprinting in like they're going to be able to get a bet anyways because the lines are already 15 deep. Yeah. But I'm sure coming in here, they're probably yelling and cussing.
And you gotta,
you're gonna get ran over in a parking lot at 9:55 if you're walking.
We're 5 miles away from like the next closest place. They still come here.
That's right.
That's a tribute to Michael. Trust me on that one, kids.
And there'll be another 6:30 a.m. game this week.
Yes, and it's an interesting one too. The Jaguars and the Eagles happening over in London to kick off week number 8 after we get past the Thursday night game. And the Eagles favored in this one by 3.5 at open. It's come down a little bit to just 3 for the Eagles. And Josh, you have a theory on this one?
Well, I mean, Jimmy said a lot of money's coming in so far on Jacksonville. Now, listen, I understand they rolled Baltimore in London. I think it was last year. Baltimore wasn't ready. They were complaining about it. Jacksonville loved every part of it. I understand that. I'm thinking it's because, and you know this, man, when you pull somebody out of a game and you bench them, it kind of fires them up. When you take something away, it's like, oh, okay, you might actually take my job from me. So now I'm actually going to put in more work. They never should have gave Bortles his job back today because he already knows right now that, you're just bluffing. You're really not going to bench me this year. You can't afford it. What we have behind me really isn't going to get the job done. If they would have waited till Wednesday, at least Wednesday, maybe Thursday, to name Bortles the quarterback, I think you would have got a lot more out of this kid. I think it's too early to give him his job back, and I think he might be in trouble again.
New York Post put out an article today saying that the Jaguars are turning on each other and that Blake Bortles is in the middle of it. Do you believe that this team is in full-on Civil War mode at this point?
Yeah, I believe there's a lot to that. I don't think it accidentally leaked. Like I said, when Jalen Ramsey comes out, I've said this a million times, I've never seen an arrogant athlete unsuccessful. That's when I'm arrogant and confident in my own ability, and I have to back it up. This is a whole different thing where Ramsey went out there and ran his mouth about everybody in the NFL and, basically put a bullseye on his team's back, and now his guys got to go to battle for him. He's not a boxer. He's not a tennis player. He's not doing this one-on-one. He's not a golfer, right? So now he put a bullseye on everybody, and everybody's got to defend this kid's mouth, which you want to support your players, but it's tough. And now he's hiding from the media sometimes. He's kind of being coy a little bit. They're getting rocked. He created a bad situation, and he can only do so much to help it.
If you listened to the post-game press conference yesterday, not a ringing endorsement for any part of their game by the coaching staff. And, when it's time to circle the wagons, your head coach should be that glue, right? That's the rallying point. That's somebody who should try to get things right. I would say he was almost as perplexed as anybody, and so it's there's not a good vibe coming out of that locker room.
I couldn't
right
believe how they played in the second half. Having a chance at home to win that football game, to come back and win this football, watching Tennessee go for two and miss it, then get a penalty and still not kick the extra point to try to win the game and lose the game. Houston, who no idea how they still have a head coach. Their quarterback's brutal. Their running backs are brutal. They're in first place.
They're in first.
Yeah.
You're one game back. I mean, you're right there, and your team's in shambles doing this. You're bickering. Nobody wants this division. I mean, Colts are 2-5.
So
they're right in it.
Jimmy, I mean, we see it open at 3.5, and the Jaguars getting the betting attention. Why?
Because the Eagles aren't as good as they were last year, first of all.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
And it's a neutral field. So you can see why the money showed on. As we've talked about a million times, a team that plays absolutely abysmal the week before, don't figure to play that bad. And 3.5 points is a lot going over there.
But the Eagles did the same thing in the second half of that game. They got a lot to play for as well.
Right.
Sure.
Eagles were in control of that game, and they just blew it against Carolina. They absolutely should have won that.
Sure.
All right, so let's talk about tonight. There's some action over in the NHL. We'll get to this one so we don't miss it. Puck dropping at 4:05 for the Colorado Avalanche and the Philadelphia Flyers. Vinny.
Yeah, this is a game where the Flyers are at home. These two teams did meet in the first week of the season, and the Avalanche did beat Philly 5-2 in Colorado. But tonight, Flyers up from $1.15 to now $1.30 here at the South Point. The total, another high one, 6 over to now 6 over -30, and the Flyers plus 220 if you think they can cover this puck line.
It should be. I mean, 9, 11, and 7 the last 3 games for Philadelphia. I mean, listen, I don't know what's going on in hockey. It is crazy, all this new scoring. It's awesome. Same thing, too, for Colorado. I mean, 4, 8, and 5, so a little bit different, maybe not as much. Colorado's been on the road. This is the 4th game in a row. So, I mean, eventually that's got to play a little bit of fatigue. What was the line for Philly?
-30.
That's not bad.
$1.30. Yep.
Not bad.
And finally, Monday Night Football is going off tonight. It is the Giants in Atlanta. That is just over an hour away, hour and 20 minutes. And Falcons open as 6-point favorites now, just 4-point favorites, Vinny.
Yeah, all Giant money all week long. They're starting to see some 4.5s out there. So Jimmy could speak to how much. There's probably going to be some Falcon money showing between now and
there
kickoff.
is, and definitely all the carryovers to the Falcons on the parlay cards and the parlay. So it won't be a big deal. The big deal was the saver last night from the total.
Yeah.
Coming to tonight on either side, we got carried away.
That was brutal. Josh, any lean in this one? You feeling confident in the Falcons being able to cover a number like that?
Listen, I mean, the Giants are that bad of a football team, and they have Saquon Barkley. And to me, I mean, it looks as simple as you stop Saquon and you stop the Giants. But, Jimmy alludes, it's the NFL, and week to week, man, teams make adjustments. They are at home. As much as I would love to say Atlanta, I think the Giants can cover this number.
Okay, so even
they don't play no
getting
defense.
pushed down
Atlanta
to 4,
has no defense.
They can't stop anyone. All right, so again, we'll talk more about this Monday Night Football game in just a moment. This is My Guys in the Desert on VSiN. We're coming right back from the South Point.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
I'm Brent Musburger, reminding you that the football betting season is here. There is nothing like it. Are you ready to celebrate the thrill of victory and cash a ticket even on defeats? Sharpen your edge now with the help of Matt Humans, Dave Tooley, and the rest of My Guys in the Desert. We'll get you prepared for the football season with exclusive handicapping stories and data that you won't find anywhere else. Go to vsin.com/subscribe for the package that makes sense for you, including a 1-week trial at no charge. Our new all-access subscription includes Point Spread Weekly, vSin's digital magazine designed to make you a better handicapper and avoid the agony of defeat. You'll also get vSin's 140-plus page college football betting guide, followed by our comprehensive pro football betting guide. Sign up now, vsin.com/subscribe. That's vsin.com/subscribe. Remember, cashing tickets is what it's all about.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
We ready? We take teasers on the NBA.
Oh, my man.
Hold on.
My man knows. I can't resist. How about Moneyline Parlay?
There you go. How can you tease the NBA? There's 220 points might be scored.
That's my
this
point.
Extra 4.5 points are really going to do me good. I guarantee he makes the bet.
I can lay 8 with the Warriors. Okay. All right. Now, the Celtics, I can.